Your Humanities Half Hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Hafadeid Antero, welcome to Your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry, and today we are talking about systems of care and healthy transitions. And here to tell us more about these two programs are the lead family coordinator of System of Care under the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation Community Guidance Center. What a title. Philip Santos, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yes, it's a very lengthy introduction. It's a mouthful, always having to say that whole thing.
Okay, start us off with what is Systems of Care and Healthy Transitions?
So the System of Care and the Healthy Transitions programs, we are both mental health clinics and programs. I'm going to say that whole phrase again. Under the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation Community Guidance Centers. It's a mouthful. For SOC, we provide treatments and support services for children and youth ages 0 to 21 who are experiencing or at risk of developing either severe mental illnesses or emotional challenges. While our counterpart is the Healthy Transitions program, they also provide treatments and support services for our youth and young adults. So they focus on the older populations, ages 16 to 25, who may be experiencing or are at risk of experiencing either severe mental illnesses, severe emotional disturbances, and an additional component for their program is they also tackle substance use disorder. And both programs, we are federally funded under the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration, and we work cohesively as partner programs.
And we were chatting before the show, and you wanted to let people know one of the important things is that everything we're talking about today, if you're eligible, is free.
Yes. So a lot of people have worries. Sometimes they call and they're not sure if their insurance is going to cover because we are under the community, the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation. But we want to say to all our listeners out there today is that all services under the Community Guidance Center, whichever clinic or program you end up being referred to, are free of charge.
And once again, this is for people up to age 25. Can you give us an example of some types of people you might be able to assist with or situations you might assist with?
So for both System of Care and Healthy Transitions, we actually do provide services for both the youth, the children, as well as for their families. So some of the issues we deal with, they may be struggling with low mood, some may have anxiety, stress, depression. They may have some family or interpersonal conflicts. For our shorter term interventions, for our behavioral health skills training, some of them just might need help with anger management, coping skills, and so we do see a wider range of needs at our different clinics, but those are just some examples of the most commonly referred concerns.
Like, how many people do you have on staff? Because you're talking about like almost all of us, like mood swings, anxiety. It's okay to be okay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not okay.
Yeah, not okay. At System of Care, currently we have five direct service providers. So we have, let me get that right. We have our lead wraparound coordinator. We have our licensed therapist. And then we have... four. See, I can't count. And we have our two wraparound coordinators.
Well, I'm sure you guys have a lot on your plate. What is really the end goal, you would say, of all of the services you provide?
So as an outpatient behavioral health clinic, both System of Care and Healthy Transitions, our goal really is to provide that support and those services to the community for our young individuals who have mental health challenges. And we want to really provide that safe space they need to address their challenges and to provide them with the tools to cope with them in the future. So it's helping them get through what they're going through at the moment, but at the same time, after we discharge them, we want to make sure they have those tools with them. So they can, live their life.
That's really great. Like in educating, empowering them so they can be stronger.
Yes.
For working with you guys. I know one of the things you do is connecting clients with other services, if I'm not mistaken, that might be
Yes.
available for them. How does that work?
So we do receive referrals. So our potential consumers, they can walk into our clinics, they can give us a call, or they can email us. We'll be sharing those contact information towards the end of the show today. So when we do receive those referrals, we fill out an initial inquiry form, and we have a sort of initial assessment on what the consumer is going through. And immediately, if we identify, for example, a risk of suicide, we would refer them to our suicide prevention program. But if there is none, we do have 6 risk questions that we do ask every potential consumer who comes in. And the more yeses they have, the more likely they are to be in priority for screening. And then our wraparound coordinators do meet with our therapist, and they reviewed those forms that they filled out, and they determine, okay, is this something that System of Care and Healthy Transitions can deal with, or is this something that we might need to refer to another program? A common example is a child, but they are a victim of sexual abuse. So technically, because they are within our age group, we could provide them services, but because they are a victim of crime, they're a victim of sexual abuse, we would determine that they would be better served at our other clinic, which is the wellness program, and they specifically have those services for those who are victims of crime. So those are the types of assessments that our providers take. If we don't need to refer them out, then the next step would be to do a clinical screening. They meet with our licensed therapist. They go through a couple of forms together, and based on the results, they determine a treatment pathway. So we have our behavioral health skills training, we have our wraparound informed care, our wraparound care, as well as our individual or family therapy.
What do you mean by wraparound care?
So wraparound care is a team-based planning process. And so how I like to explain it is tapping into the natural supports that are available for the consumer, and literally, wrap their arms around the consumer. So we involve the family, we involve their school counselors. It starts by identifying what are the needs of the consumer and their family, as well as their strengths. And so the wraparound coordinator would work with them to come up with a plan to, meet those goals, to meet those needs. And that's sort of how the treatment for that specific consumer would go.
I love that approach, like as the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child. And have you found that, I suppose you have found that more productive and more effective to involve the whole community around the individual. What difference do you see your work making in the lives of people who come?
Yeah, before the show, we were talking about stigma, right? And, stigma for seeking mental health support, it affects everyone globally. Here in the CNMI, stigma is reinforced because we are a small community and our culture is, very, very strong. And, if someone sees you going to a clinic, it won't be long before your neighbors are talking about it, and your entire village knows that, hey, this guy is seeing a shrink, or, and even words like that, seeing a shrink, phrases like that are very strongly and heavily stigmatized, that it becomes hard for us to seek services. So what we aim to do really under the Community Guidance Center at System of Care and Healthy Transitions is to show our families that help is available, it's okay to not be okay, and that recovery is possible. And so that's the difference we want to see in our clients.
What confidence could you give somebody listening right now who said, you know what, I think I could use the help of these people that, when they come to you, that you guys are really going to take care of them, protect their confidentiality, treat them with respect, allow them to, assuming they're of age, to, make decisions on their own about what they want. How do you approach that, and what assurance can you give?
I can speak on behalf of our direct service providers. These are well-experienced professionals. A lot of them are mothers. So they do have that natural caring aspect, and they are constantly taking up professional development. Like every Wednesday or every Friday, they have this training with one of our wraparound consultants based in the United States to really constantly hone their skills. And I've seen, I can't sit in on their sessions, but the way I see our consumers when they come in and when they're greeted by our direct service providers, they're really happy to be there, and they actually look forward to meeting and going to their sessions. And to see that kind of positive interaction, it probably means they're doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as members of the community, supporting each other as we journey through this thing called life and face these struggles, what advice would you give to us to better support each other during these times where we need extra help?
We all play a role in building a healthier CNMI. And, everyone's affected by mental health challenges, whether it's ourselves, someone we know. We really want the community to know that if you have information like about our programs or services, give it to someone who's struggling. Even the information that we're sharing right now on this show, share it to others, share it to your friends, to your family members, to those in your community, because we each have our part to break that stigma. And it starts by something as simple as sharing these programs and services with others.
Excellent. We're talking about systems of care and healthy transitions, and we'll be back with more after this break.
I Northern Marianas Humanities Council, Bula Guinahanya puri historian Marianas dan kultura. Sinyon soda esisihanan formasyon gi zon mami website nmhcouncil.org. Pat bisita gi YouTube pat Facebook. Guahalokwe diferentes klasen leblo na sinya unfan. I Northern Marianas Humanities Council has uzura todo I experiencia tautau.
Welcome back to Your Humanities Half Hour. We are chatting today about system of care and healthy transitions under the CHCC Community Guidance Center, and we are here with Lead Family Coordinator Philip Santos. Philip, you said, you didn't say, but it seems that you're particularly excited about what we're going to talk about next, which is group peer support. What is that all about?
So we have been looking to start a support group system for the families and the parents of our consumers, because while our youth, our children are well taken care of, we also want to make sure our parents, our families are also well taken care of, because they're the primary caregivers of the children and youth that we're seeing, and we can't pour from an empty cup. So we need to make sure that our parents are doing okay as well. And so
that's great.
No matter who we are or where we come from, we all face challenges, and research actually shows that the single most important factor which determines our physical and emotional health, as well as our success in life, is social support. And we all need communities of support, especially when times are tough. Like now, the COVID-19 pandemic, we've been isolated for almost 2 years, and it's been really tough to be cut off from our social support, and it makes everything that we're going through a bit more difficult to bear. And so in these times where we have a lot of personal and collective trauma, the need for community is essential, even though it's hard to come by. And that's where we come in with GPS, or group peer support. So the GPS group peer support model is an evidence-based, trauma-informed, and trauma-responsive model which integrates a couple of evidence-based modalities such as the cognitive behavioral theory, interpersonal theory, mindfulness.
Okay, wait. Those two things you said, you're going to have to say it in layman's terms.
Okay. So Basically, we have deep breathing exercises. That's sort of at the start of every session. These are meant to stimulate. Called the vagus nerve. Sorry, that's still jargon, but it's a nerve in your body that controls your fight or flight response. And so for us, a lot of us are going day to day on adrenaline mode, and like a car, a car eventually runs out of gas, and the same thing is for us as individuals, as human beings. We need to stop and to refuel, and so we have that time for them as well to just center themselves, to breathe. And I have a little script that I read while doing the deep breathing to just help them relax, to focus, to sort of let go of the distractions and to make themselves more open, because later in the group they would be sharing some deep personal stuff, and so you want to sort of open that space up for them as well, and that starts with that deep breathing. And so GPS really is just, it's a confidential space for our parents to share the difficulties of supporting and parenting their children, especially as they journey with them through their mental health challenges. What I really loved about GPS when I was taking my training is that there's a strong emphasis on being listened to with respect, non-judgment, and compassion. That means we're never going to compare stories. We're never going to refer to your story. So I can't say, like Kathy, I also know we want everyone to be, at the center of their own story, to recognize that we all have our unique individual challenges. Advice is not given unsolicited, and we know how frustrating that can be. For us who have probably attended groups in the past, giving advice is somewhat expected. Or, when we need to just rant or vent to our friend, and then they cut us off and they start blabbing and giving advice. But oftentimes, we really just need to be heard. And part of the GPS group support model is that we believe that healing begins when we are able to speak our truth, when we are able to be listened to be heard, and to just have someone there to, validate that what we're going through is real for us. It's, it's something that we have to go through, and to not have people judge us or give that unsolicited advice. And once we get that off our chest, those things, those struggles that we may be going through, then we start to, feel lighter. It's like that weight is lifted off. Yeah.
I can see why you are very passionate about the group peer support. And like you said, it sounds like just a safe space for people to be heard. And to be accepted for where they are right now in life. And, we all have things that, we have struggled with or continue to struggle with. And it sounds like a really beautiful place.
It is. If I could just plug.
Please
promote,
do. That's why we're here.
We are starting our first cycle this month. We have 4 sessions. It's a curriculum that we developed specifically for our parents here in CNMI. We have our registration information available on our social media, on our CHCC Community Guidance Center on Facebook and on Instagram as well. There is a registration form there. What's good about this is we don't expect you to attend all 4 sessions. We understand that, life happens. And so you can just pick and choose whichever session you'd want to attend. And there's no commitment or expectation for you to show up to all 4. But we really just want to hold that space for you. It's going to be at the Mariana's Business Plaza on the 5th floor, Unit 501. We'd like to thank the BHRP program for lending us.
Wait, what's BHRP?
BHRP is the Behavioral Health Response Program.
Okay.
Yes. We want to thank them for lending their bigger office space.
So more people can come.
Yes, so we can
great.
accommodate more. It'll be on Wednesdays from 5:30 to 7 p.m.
Okay, and people can find the application
The registration is on our social media pages.
Okay,
yes.
and again, it's free.
It's free, yes,
That's
it's
great.
free.
You know, you mentioned the term before. It was something related to trauma-informed care, or it was something about trauma. What is the importance of offering trauma-informed care, and how much does trauma influence, what's happening to us today, even if
Right.
it happened a long time ago?
So we do understand that many people, although we are drawn towards our connection to others, so whether this be for wanting to seek support services or attend a support group or get mental health care, we have experienced trauma in our relationships, whether on a one-on-one basis with our friends, with our peers, with family members, or in group settings, whether it was a long time ago when we were children or when we were adults. So these could be, we were excluded, there were cliques, misuse of leadership, public shaming, and, we also have other worse types of individual trauma, such as, abuse or, being manipulated in relationships. And so it becomes difficult for us to open up. We also have experienced our collective worldwide trauma from the COVID-19 pandemic,
Sure.
as well as we may be, racial trauma from, if we are not white, we may face that stigma, that those racist attacks, and it may be difficult for us to connect with others and to seek treatments or support services. So we want to be, with trauma-informed care, we want to be sensitive to as much trauma as we can, because we're acknowledging that people are taking huge risks and they are taking a leap of faith to
come to you guys.
Yeah, to come
Yeah.
to us and to seek our services. So we want to make sure that whether it's support groups or whether it's our direct services, that we do consider like what might be, we don't want to relive their trauma. So an example I can talk about for in our GPS, how it's trauma informed. For the deep breathing, when we ask people to close their eyes, we also give them the option not to. So we say, you may close your eyes if you feel safe, because some people may have had traumatic experiences where their eyes were closed, and so asking them to close their eyes might cause them to relive that trauma. Another trauma-informed aspect specific to GPS is when we have our check-ins, so when our sharing, we establish an order, and we constantly repeat that. So I'll say, I'll go first, and then followed by Kathy, followed by Evelyn, and then the next person. And so that makes sure that they're prepared, because they may have had traumatic experiences, maybe at work or at school, where they were called on, they weren't prepared, they got embarrassed. And so we want to take those extra steps when we're providing supports and when we're providing care, to make sure that we do not re-traumatize them. And so we acknowledge that trauma is really hard to overcome, but we want to encourage the community who will be seeking our services that we do take a lot of steps, and our staff, our direct service providers, are trained in trauma-informed care. In fact, that is one of our guiding values under the Community Guidance Center, which is to really provide trauma-informed care regardless of which clinic our consumers would be going to.
Mm. And you also have considerations, for example, culture and language fluency, I guess, in English. How do you approach those things?
So at CHCC, we do have translation services available. I do know that the Community Guidance Center as well has some contracts with different translators. Should the need arise, if we need, if our direct service providers are having difficulty understanding either the parent or the consumer, they could have those services brought in. During our treatment planning, we also want to have families share with us what are their cultural needs. And so we take that into consideration when we do our treatment planning. They do have that in they call it their plan of care, and they do ask those questions.
That's really good to help the person feel more comfortable.
Yes.
All right, that's
and
awesome.
yeah, they do have those. And our staff, we also have regular trainings on cultural competency. I myself recently attended one facilitated internally by CGC, and we learned about each other's cultures and how that would factor in when we are developing treatment plans, how we are going to make our approaches depending on the culture. And we also want to remind our families what their rights and responsibilities are.
That's great.
As our consumers. And so it is your right to get care that is suited to you, but it's also your responsibility to let us know what that is. So we're able to tailor fit the treatment plan for you, your family, according to what your cultural needs are.
Well, as we come down to the end of the show, I want to ask first, second to last, which is now first. What would you want the community to know about becoming more aware about good mental health and these programs that we're talking about, and how we can support each other more? And especially, these particular programs serve young people.
Yes.
Give us your best words of wisdom based on your experience.
How you can support us, really the simplest way is to follow all our social media, because we are sharing a lot of resources there. We're not just promoting our services. We have regular mental health campaigns, information that is in a language that is easily understandable, and you don't have to go through Google and find all these resources on your own, because we are making them readily available. If we have outreach programs that are in your community, we encourage you, if you're available, to attend, because this would truly benefit you as well. We also do have our different trainings available, such as our mental health first aid training. We do offer that as well to our community, so it trains you how to respond. A lot of us are afraid to intervene or to help others because we're scared we're going to say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing. And so that training sort of helps you understand what are some steps you can do, even though you're not a trained professional, you're not a direct service provider. What are the steps you can do in the meantime until you can refer them to appropriate professional help? And one thing we really want to leave with our community is that it's okay to not be okay. Help is available, and we're always just a phone call away.
Please give us your contacts again and any other final thoughts you may have.
Yes. So if you want to find us, our physical offices for System of Care, we are in San Antonio, right beside the basketball court. For our Healthy Transitions program, they are in the Marina Heights 1 building on the 3rd floor in Suite 303. We also have offices in Rota and Tinian. So in Rota, it's in Sinapalo, and in Tinian, it's in San Jose. For System of Care, you can call us at 670-664-4604.
Can you say that number again?
670-664-4604 or 05 all the way to 09. For our Healthy Transitions program, you can call 670-323-1900 or 1901. For Rota, you can call 670-532-6463. For Tinian, you can call 670-433-6572. And if you want to reach out via email for our System of Care program, that is CGC, System of Care, at chcc.health. And for our Healthy Transitions program, that is CGC, Healthy Transitions at chcc.health. And if you are on social media, we have our Facebook page, CHCC Community Guidance Center, and on Instagram, chc.cgc. Yeah.
Wow, those are a lot of contacts. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, one of those should work, right?
Yes.
Philip, thank you so much for your time today. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, really feel free to reach out, and we want the community to know that we're here, we're available, and it's free.
Thank you, Philip.
Thank you.
Our guest today has been Lead Family Coordinator Philip Santos of the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation Community Guidance Center's System of Care, also talking about healthy transitions. This has been your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry.
Your Humanities Half Hour is a production of the Northern Marianas Humanities Council, funded in part by the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.